Let me ask you something. You've worked hard your entire life. You've saved. You've sacrificed. And now, at 65, you're looking at around $200,000 in your retirement account. That sounds like a lot. And honestly, it is. Most Americans retire with far less. But here's what nobody is telling you. According to financial projections used by top retirement planners across the country, $200,000, if handled the wrong way, will be completely gone within 10 to 12 years. That means if you're 65 today, you could run out of money by 77. And the average American is now living well into their mid-80s. That's a gap of nearly a decade, with no savings, no backup, and complete dependence on Social Security alone. Now, before you panic, I want you to hear the other side of this. Because $200,000 handled the right way, using the same principles that the world's most successful investors have built their wealth on, can last you 25 to 30 years. It can generate monthly income. It can grow. And it can still leave something behind for the people you love. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do with $200,000 the moment you turn 65. Step by step. No jargon. No confusion. Just clear, actionable moves. Stay with me, because what you do in the next 12 months could determine the quality of the next 20 years of your life. Let's start with some honest math. Not scary math, honest math. The average retired couple in America spends somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000 a year. That includes housing, groceries, transportation, utilities, insurance, and some basic enjoyment of life, travel, family, hobbies. Now take $200,000 and divide it by $50,000 per year. You get 4 years. 4 years, if you're not investing that money. If it's just sitting in a savings account earning almost nothing. If you're drawing it down like a checking account. Now, yes, most people have Social Security on top of that. The average Social Security benefit right now is about $1,900 a month. That's roughly $22,800 a year. So your total income might look like $22,800 from Social Security, plus whatever you pull from savings. That's still a significant shortfall from what most people need to live comfortably. But here's what makes this even harder: inflation. Inflation averages around 3% per year. That doesn't sound like much. But over 20 years, it cuts your purchasing power nearly in half. The $50,000 lifestyle you have today will cost you closer to $90,000 in 20 years, just to maintain the same standard of living. This is what some of the sharpest financial minds in the world have been warning about for decades. Keeping your money in cash or in a low-interest savings account isn't safe. It's slowly losing value every single year. Cash might feel safe, but inflation makes holding it one of the riskiest long-term decisions a retiree can make. Ray Dalio. In my research on retirement planning, I've found that most people who struggle financially in their 70s and 80s made one of 3 mistakes at 65. They left their savings in a low-interest bank account and watched inflation quietly eat it away. They withdrew too much too fast in the early years, especially during market downturns, and never recovered. They had no written plan. They were just winging it, month to month, hoping it would work out. None of these people were irresponsible. Most of them worked hard their whole lives. They just didn't have a clear framework for what to do next. That framework, That's exactly what we're going to build right now. The single most powerful retirement strategy I've come across, used by top financial advisors across the country, is called the bucket strategy. The idea is simple. You don't treat your $200,000 as one lump sum. You divide it into 3 separate buckets, each with a different purpose and different timeline. This is your safety net, your breathing room. Put this money in a high-yield savings account or money market fund. Right now, accounts like those at Ally Bank, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, or Fidelity are paying between 4.5% and 5% annually. That's real money, not the 0.01% you get from a traditional bank. This bucket covers your living expenses for the next 1 to 2 years. The most important thing it does? It means you never have to sell your investments at a bad time. When the market drops, and it will drop, you're not panicking. You're drawing from bucket 1 while your other investments recover. This is your steady income engine for the next 5 to 10 years. This money goes into more stable investments, dividend-paying stocks, bond funds, and income-focused ETFs. These are investments designed to generate consistent cash flow. A few examples that financial experts often mention for retirees. Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF, VIG, focuses on companies with a consistent history of growing their dividends. Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, SCHD, widely regarded as one of the best dividend funds for income investors. Short to medium-term bond funds for stability and predictable returns. A well-structured income bucket at this size can realistically generate $400 to $600 per month in passive income without touching the principal. This is the long game. Money you won't touch for 10 years or more. This goes into broad market index funds, primarily S&P 500 index funds. Historically, the S&P 500 has returned an average of around 10% per year over long periods. This is the principle that the world's most celebrated long-term investors have championed for decades. For most investors, a low-cost S&P 500 index fund will outperform the vast majority of actively managed funds over time. At 65, you may feel like you're too old for growth investing. But if you're likely to live to 85 or 90, and statistically there's a good chance you will, you have a 20-year investment horizon. That's plenty of time for this bucket to double or triple in value. This is probably the single most impactful financial decision you'll make in retirement, and most people get it wrong. Here's what I mean. You can start claiming Social Security as early as age 62. Most people do because they need the money or because they're afraid they might not live long enough to benefit from waiting. But look at what that decision actually costs you. The difference between claiming at 62 versus waiting until 70 is over $13,000 per year, every single year for the rest of your life. Over a 20-year retirement, that gap adds up to well over $100,000 in additional income, just from the timing of one decision. Here's the strategy. If you have $200,000 saved, you can use that cushion to live on from age 65 to 70, while you let your Social Security benefit grow by 6 to 8% every single year you wait. Research from the Boston College Center for Retirement Research has consistently shown that waiting to claim Social Security is one of the highest return financial moves available to retirees. Yet fewer than 1 in 10 Americans actually waits until 70. Here's a tax trap that catches most retirees completely off guard. When you turn 73, the IRS requires you to start taking money out of your traditional 401k or IRA every year, whether you need it or not. These are called required minimum distributions, or RMDs, and every dollar you pull out is taxed as ordinary income. If you're not careful, a large RMD can push you into a higher tax bracket, increase your Medicare premiums, and even affect how much of your Social Security is taxed. The solution? A strategy called a Roth conversion. Here's how it works. Between the ages of 65 and 72, many retirees are in a relatively low tax bracket, especially before Social Security and RMDs kick in. This window is your opportunity. You convert a portion of your traditional 401k or IRA into a Roth IRA. You pay taxes on that money now, at your current lower rate. But once it's in the Roth, it grows completely tax-free, and you never have to take required distributions from it. The Roth conversion is the single best tax move most retirees never make. The window is limited, and most people don't act until it's closed. Ed Slott, IRA specialist. I'd strongly recommend talking to a fee-only financial advisor or a CPA who specializes in retirement planning to map out exactly how much to convert each year without bumping yourself into a higher bracket. This is the part of retirement planning that most people skip, and it's the one that destroys the most retirement accounts. Fidelity Investments estimates that the average couple retiring today at 65 will need approximately $315,000 to cover health care costs throughout retirement. That's more than your entire $200,000 savings. And Medicare, while extremely helpful, does not cover everything. It doesn't cover most dental care. It doesn't cover vision. It doesn't cover hearing aids. And most critically, it doesn't cover long-term care. Long-term care means nursing home care, assisted living, or in-home care. And the numbers are staggering. A private nursing home room averages $9,000 per month. That's $108,000 per year. Assisted living averages around $4,500 per month. In-home care can run $25 to $35 per hour. At 65, you have two important options to consider. First, Medicare supplement insurance, also known as Medigap. This fills in the gaps that Medicare leaves behind: co-pays, deductibles, and out-of-pocket costs that can add up to thousands per year. Second, long-term care insurance. The earlier you purchase it, the lower the premiums. At 65, you're still in a good window to get reasonable rates. The bottom line is this: one unexpected health event, one serious illness, one hospital stay, 1 year in a nursing facility can wipe out everything you've saved. Healthcare planning is not optional. It is the foundation that everything else rests on. This last step isn't just about money. It's about clarity. It's about making sure that what you've built in your lifetime gets passed on the way you intend, not the way a court decides. Here's a sobering statistic. More than 60% of Americans die without a will. And when that happens, your assets go through a legal process called probate, which is expensive, time-consuming, and often tears families apart. There are 3 things you need to put in place right now. A living trust. Unlike a simple will, a living trust passes your assets to your heirs immediately, without probate. It's private, fast, and far less expensive for your family. Beneficiary designations. Make sure every account you own, 401k, IRA, life insurance, bank accounts, has an updated beneficiary listed. These override your will. An outdated beneficiary designation can send your money to the wrong person. Power of attorney. This designates someone you trust to make financial and medical decisions on your behalf if you become unable to. Without it, your family may have to go to court just to help you. The greatest gift you can give your family is not just money, it is clarity. A clear plan removes confusion, prevents conflict, and protects everything you worked for. Charlie Munger. Before we wrap up, I want to spend a few minutes on the other side of this, the traps. Because just as important as knowing what to do is knowing what to avoid. Don't pay off a low-interest mortgage early. I know it feels good to own your home free and clear. And emotionally, that makes sense. But financially, if your mortgage rate is 3%, 4%, or even 5%, and you can earn 7 to 10% annually in a diversified investment portfolio, paying off that mortgage early is actually costing you money. The math favors keeping the mortgage and investing the difference. Always run the numbers before making this decision. Don't give large cash gifts to your children right now. Generosity is beautiful, but timing matters enormously. Giving away large sums of money in your early retirement years can affect your eligibility for Medicaid later on, if you ever need long-term care. There are look-back periods, typically 5 years, where Medicaid can review your asset transfers. A better approach is to work with an estate planning attorney to find ways to help your family that don't jeopardize your own financial security. Don't say yes to aggressively marketed annuities. Annuities are not inherently bad products, but the annuities that get pushed hardest through seminars, mailers, cold calls are often loaded with hidden fees, long surrender periods, and complex terms that work in the insurance company's favor, not yours. If someone is very eager to sell you an annuity, that's your cue to slow down and ask for a second opinion from an independent advisor. Don't put all your money in one place. Even FDIC insurance, which protects your bank deposits, only covers $250,000 per institution. Diversification isn't just about stocks and bonds. It also means spreading money across different account types, different institutions, and different asset classes. Don't make these decisions alone. This might be the most important point of all. The decisions you make at 65 about your retirement savings are among the most consequential financial decisions of your life. Please find a fee-only financial advisor. That means someone who charges a flat fee or hourly rate, not someone who earns commissions on the products they sell you. Organizations like the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, NAPFA, can help you find one in your area. This is not a cost. It's an investment in every other investment you make. Let's bring this all together. You came into this video with $200,000 and perhaps some uncertainty about what to do with it. My hope is that you're leaving with a clear picture. Here's what we covered. Step 1. Divide your money into 3 buckets: cash for the short term, income for the medium term, and growth for the long term. Step 2. Think carefully about when to claim Social Security. Waiting from 65 to 70 could be worth more than $100,000 over your lifetime. Step 3. Consider a Roth conversion before RMDs force your hand at 73. The tax savings can be substantial. Step 4. Plan for healthcare costs now. Medicare is a foundation, not a complete solution. Step 5. Create a simple but solid legacy plan. A living trust, updated beneficiaries, and a power of attorney protect everything you've built. I want to close with something that I think gets lost in all the numbers and strategies. $200,000 is not just a number. It is decades of alarm clocks you answered, late nights, early mornings, moments you chose discipline over comfort. That money represents something real, and you deserve a plan that honors that. The goal of retirement is not just to survive. It is to live, to travel, to be present for the people you love, to wake up in the morning without financial anxiety. A thoughtful, structured approach to your $200,000 can give you exactly that. You have more options than you think. You have more time than you realize. and you have the information you need to make better decisions starting today. If this video gave you even one idea that you hadn't considered before, please share it with someone you care about who is approaching retirement. It could genuinely change their financial future, and I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, how old are you, and what is your single biggest concern about retirement right now? I read every comment, and your question might become the next video. If you're not subscribed yet, now is a great time. We publish new videos every week, covering real strategies for real people in or approaching retirement. Coming up next, how to actually set up these 3 buckets, step by step, even if you've never invested before in your life. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and take care of your money.